That's one thing I love about live sessions is that sometimes you forget the smallest thing, and I forgot to change the intro video. So apologies. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a chat with, which is what it'll say next time. Should we just start again? Can you just start again? Can we go for take two, please, Mick? Yeah,
No,
or is it
live,
bit late for that? Is it?
live.
Oops. Right. So anyway, welcome to a chat with, and today we're going to have a lovely chat with Jo Plimmer, who is one of our video creators members, and she runs the What Coaching, Wood and the Trees Coaching, which basically is all about, well, helping people get through daily events in their business and stuff like that, and stop getting bogged down with things like imposter syndrome and having too many hats, which is something that I have a problem with, I must admit. So, yeah, it's going to be really good to have a chat with her. So, how is business, Jo, and how are you finding it? And yes, I know that we all juggle a lot of hats. So, basically, how are you finding your own business with the amount of hats that you've got for starters, and also helping others with theirs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. We all do wear multiple hats within our businesses and our lives generally. I don't think it's just as a business owner, but I think it gets exaggerated as a business owner. And I've certainly found since perfect since starting my business that the just within it alone, you're playing so many different roles and so many different things that you've got to do, and you've got to kind of keep on top of all those activities all the time. But then add in things like home life, being a parent, supporting your friends and family, actually doing something for yourself and having that time for yourself. There's so many different things that you might want to do or you might need to do during your life that it can become that you get lost and you can't see the wood for the trees, hence the name.
Perfect. And it's true. It's very true, because I mean, I've got the biggest problem I find is distractions. Literally, oh, brown dog. I would be in the middle of something and I just completely, and it's because you've got all these different elements and all these different jobs that you've got to do, and it's like, oh, I got to get that done. Oh, I got to get that done. And, it can be very, very annoying. So I love that. I love the whole name, the wood and the trees, because sometimes I can't see the wood for the trees, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a bit of a play on both that's sort of how I describe coaching, that it allows us to step back, get perspective, get clarity, be able to see what I talk about, the bigger picture of the wood, but still being able to navigate those day-to-day details of life, which are the trees. And for me, that's not just about business or work. That is about your life as a whole. It's about you, because you are at the center of everything that you do. And so it's about enabling you to be able to think clearly, to know what it is that you want to do, to be able to know that direction that you're going in. That's the kind of bigger picture piece, so that you can by stepping back and having that perspective, it allows you to take the steps that are going to really fulfill what it is that you want, rather than just doing things for the sake of doing things. And I think that's where it comes into getting lost. If you kind of lose sight of that bigger picture, you get kind of lost in all that detail, and then it makes it harder. But equally, that detail, that finer detail, what's got to be done every day, isn't it? We've still got to function, and whether that be in your business or life at home, those things often need doing. And it's really easy for you to then end up neglecting yourself, the things that you need in order to be able to keep on going. And as a result of that, it means your productivity gets less, you spend more time procrastinating, getting distracted, as you just said, Gareth, overthinking, worrying about kind of what might happen, feeling kind of frantic and out of control, and then your health can suffer as well as a result of it. So it kind of is not just, I come kind of in the well-being sector, but it's also very much about kind of performance, in whether that be in your business or in your life generally. It sort of covers both ends of the scale, because it's about you and optimizing how you function.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, one of the things that obviously we've chatted a lot, and one of the things that we've talked about is this whole imposter syndrome. Now, I personally have experienced it myself, and oh look, I've just set my Google off. I don't know how. I didn't even say the name. But I personally have experienced it, and and I think a lot of people have, and maybe are not as open about it, in what they've experienced. But I am going back pre-COVID, but I really went through a period where I just thought, what I'm doing, nobody wants, and I don't know what I'm doing. And it was that mindset, and it was really weird, and it was like, strange.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that actually imposter syndrome can creep in ways that you don't necessarily even realise that it's imposter syndrome. I think imposter syndrome leads you down a track of thinking it is that kind of feeling a fraud, feeling an imposter in what you do. But really, that comes down to not feeling good enough in whatever it is that you're doing, and that can show up in kind of overcompensating in many ways. So imposter syndrome itself this sort of gets broken down into 5 different types: the perfectionist, the soloist, the expert, the natural genius, and the superwoman or superman. And there's kind of different traits, but a lot of people find they have traits in all of them. But things like doing things to jotting all the I's, crossing all the T's, making sure you sort of covering every base, but potentially doing that to an unhelpful level where actually you don't need to do it to that level, and so it just ends up eating into your time, and you're doing extra. Or not being able to delegate, because you actually feel like you've got to hold on to all the work because it actually, if you want a job doing, do it yourself, that kind of attitude. That's again an imposter syndrome trait, which actually you might not necessarily think of in imposter syndrome, because actually you think I'm holding on to it, I'm very capable, but really it's about kind of setting yourself very high expectations and then the effects of that. And for me, within the imposter syndrome traits, there are actually some really great qualities. Making sure that you're thorough and that you do a good job, that's a great quality. What we don't want is when it tips over into the unhelpful elements of it. And that's kind of what I do within the work that I do, to help people to kind of really harness and embrace the bits that they want to keep and believe in believe in their abilities, their skills, whilst getting rid of the unhelpful elements that are actually keeping them in cycles of doing too much, which often lead to burnout, which is where kind of my work-life balance, burnout prevention sort of side of things comes in.
It's amazing you say that, because when you was just saying about the perfectionist, I immediately thought of his nibs down there. Yeah, Mr. Bloody, change it by a frame, and sometimes when we do some larger projects, Mick can be so focused on it and on the perfection, and it literally eats into time. And then a lot of quite often I'll step in and I'll say, right, show it to me, show me what you've done, let's have a look at it. And then basically it's a case of, Mick, you're seeing things that nobody else is seeing, because he's looking at it at the frame level, and it's amazing. I did an edit years ago. I don't do much editing. At the end of the day, I leave it to him because he bloody whizzes it out. But I did an edit, and the client actually gave me, they recorded their own phone number wrong, the right digits in all the wrong places. It was like a Morecambe and Wise sketch. It is the right phone number, just not necessarily in the right order, right? So I had to edit the voice. Now I could always hear that it was wrong. And it's amazing when sometimes you get so focused into these things that you get engrossed on focusing on the wrong part of the project. It's like when I talk to people about doing when you do a newsletter, a mail shot. People, when they do their first mail shot, spend loads of time putting it together, and then they basically sit there, chuff to bits and everything, and they hit send, and then they go, oh, unsubscribe, oh, unsubscribe, oh, unsubscribe, and they focus on the unsubscribers, not on the people who click the links. And I say to anybody who's listening, right, if you're doing mail marketing, if you're doing a mail shot and you send it out, unsubscribers are room for subscribers. Okay? That's the way I now look at it. But it's so true. We focus on all the wrong things.
We do, and actually that is a very instinctive trait, because it's part of our safety and survival mechanism. So we have a bias towards the negative, because it's part of keeping us safe and alive. We've got to recognise those negatives,
Right.
those threats, those things that are going to potentially threaten our survival. And whilst the things that come up for us these days are very different to how they were when we evolved with these sort of instinctual reactions that kept us alive. But the three kind of really basic human needs are love, safety, and belonging. And if you feel like people are unsubscribing from you, you get your subconscious gets this sense of oh, I don't belong anymore.
Wow.
So it then sends you into that kind of reaction to focus on that, and so you want to correct it. So it's about working, and then also our subconscious holds a lot of our kind of beliefs and experiences that then affect that too. So if you've had throughout your life, you'll have built up beliefs of things where you maybe felt like you weren't good enough in some sense. There's been something that's happened that's given you that experience, and then your brain, because it likes to be right, it likes to know that it's that belief is true. It will look for the evidence to confirm that belief, and so it looks for all the things, and this is all on a subconscious level, but it looks for all the things that are going on that will confirm that belief, and so it's looking for the unsubscribes because that fits with what you think about yourself. So I work on getting rid of those unconscious limiting beliefs to be able to then, not have to focus on those sorts of things too much. But some of it is an active practice too.
Yeah, it's fascinating when you actually start looking and thinking about the whole psychology behind it all, and going back to our kind of like whatever we were AP times or whatever. I'm no biologist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the things that obviously were the threats that were in those days. Typical textbook example is that of a lion chasing you, and that would set off your fight or flight system. But now those triggers, if you like, for us are things that in their own right probably wouldn't cause us any problem whatsoever. And they would things like your alarm going off at 6 a.m. and then having a load of emails that you've got to deal with straight away, and the kids running around and creating loads of noise. All of those things you wouldn't think of as being something that would instigate your fight or flight system, but they kind of have these little micro doses of it that have this cumulative effect. And the nature of how we are these days in this kind of fast modern lifestyle that we have is that we have all of these things that have this cumulative effect, that little kind of triggers of it that lead up to your stress response, your fight or flight system being constantly switched on, which then kind of causes us to even more so tip into the that looking for the negatives, because we're in this kind of constant threatened state where we're in that fight or flight heightened sense of danger state, so we're even more likely to look for those dangers. I've just noticed that one of the comments there is RAS. I'll just explain that.
I was actually going to say, Michael, what does RAS mean? But if you know what it is, Joey.
That's the reticular activating system. So then what Michael's referring to there is when I was talking about when our brain wants to confirm a belief. So our reticular activating system, it's a bit like our filters. So we get bombarded by absolutely loads of sensory information all the time. We're constantly getting bombarded by it. And so our system has to have a way of filtering that information, because it's coming from not only our externals and everything around us, but also our internals. And it has to sort through all of this. And one of the ways of it's sorting through it is having these kind of filters that are in place that allow us to let through the information that's important to us. So our values, our beliefs, memories, experiences, attitudes, all those kinds of things create our filter system, and that's the reticular activating system is kind of part of it's the name of a part of the brain, but it's kind of the conceptual thing is this sort of filters, if you like, and so it's what lets through this decides whether it goes through or not. And so the belief that we've developed over our life goes into our filters, and so then our brain will look out for it. So you might have heard this analogy before, but it's like if you see a yellow car on the road and then you start seeing yellow cars everywhere, it's the same thing. So like something's got put into your system, and so then you become more aware of it, you look for it more. Or say like your friend got a new dog and it's a really it's a breed of dog that you've never heard of before, and then you start seeing that breed of dog everywhere because now it's in your system. You're more aware of it, you're more heightened to it. But you can use that in a really positive way as well, because you can put things into your filters that you want to look for, and that's really what kind of goal setting is about. It's what gratitude practices are about, all those kinds of things, is using it to look for the more positive things or the things that you want to achieve. It's using it in the same way. But our subconscious will, again, because we've got that negativity bias, it'll tend to look for those negatives more easily.
I got a good example of that. In 2004, I could afford to buy a brand new car, a Skoda Octavia. I was very happy. I was very pleased with myself that I was able to buy a car outright. Yeah. And basically, I thought, right, it was going to be between the Skoda Octavia and the Toyota. Yeah. And I was in work talking to a colleague, and I said, I think I'll go for the Skoda, because the Toyota, there's mostly taxis, Toyotas. So I bought the Skoda, and then all I saw was Skoda taxis everywhere. It was like, and it was like, I was talking to my colleague at work, and they said, I just keep seeing Skoda taxis now. And I was like, yeah, me too.
That's a perfect example.
It's a really good example. It's,
yeah.
But it was a 10-year plan with the new Skoda. It lasted me 16 years.
Oh wow! Excellent.
I got quite attached. I've still got the somewhere here. I've got the cigarette lighter, because it's gone now. It went to the immortal grave in whatever. Anyway, that's obviously fallen on the floor. But anyway. So yes, it's just very, very interesting, kind of the whole psychology behind all these things, and the rest of it. Now you do have your club, your own club.
Yes, so it's called Guilt-Free, my Guilt-Free membership, and so it's a series of workshops where actually what I tend to do. I'm from a science background, so my previous career was that I was a neurological physiotherapist, and so I kind of like that sort of. I like to understand how things work and why things work, and so I use that sort of platform to explain these things, like I've just kind of been explaining to you, to put understanding behind what happens within our brain and body to cause certain things to happen, and kind of everyday problems that you come up against. So I talk about something called the boom bust roller coaster, which is my sort of framework, if you like, that I've put together through the things that I've learned. But basically it describes days where you have days where you're being super productive, everything's going really well, you're crossing off the to-do list, you're keeping all the balls in the air, you feel like you're winning. And that inevitably at some point tips over into feeling overwhelmed, frantically firefighting, like you're on the back foot, can't think clearly, and you're wondering if it's all really worth it. And so I use the Guilt-Free membership to all the workshops that happen in that group, to explain what's happening within us, to create those cycles and to perpetuate them and to keep them going, so that actually it puts the power back in the individual's hands to do something about it. You can kind of then work out what you can do if you're in that cycle, to nip it in the bud, or if over a longer term, what you can do to kind of get rid of it and not have such peaks and troughs of this kind of roller coaster effect that eventually lead to burning out. So it kind of gives you that awareness to know what it is you're doing and why you're doing it.
Okay. The reason I keep looking there is because I'm getting the links. But I'm going to post. I've posted about the membership group, but I'm going to post because you also have a complimentary spot as well, don't you? People can book.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So if anybody's interested in, or just kind of facing those challenges that I've been talking about, then if they want to have a free 30-minute consultation, then that's great. Come along, have a chat. We can work out whether there's anything I can do to help, or whether any of the services I offer might be able to help. But it'd be, even just having that chat to work it through and kind of work out what it is that you are struggling with and what you really want, then that can be really helpful in itself.
Right. So
can I ask something? We're big advocates of video, so a lot of stuff you're talking about theory is meeting sort of people and workshops. So how are you finding that video is actually helping you get your message out?
Yeah, so the workshops that I do are live, but they get recorded. I mean, that's quite a basic recording. It's I just record the actual session that I'm doing, edit out any gaps where, because I make those an interactive session, so that the people that attend get a workbook, and there's it's kind of time to reflect on what it is that's working for them, what's not working for them, and what they want going forward. So I'll record the sessions on Zoom and then edit out the gaps where people are actually doing their own bit of kind of applying that information to themselves, and then send that out to my members for them to use as well. But in terms of more structured videos, I'm not quite sure if that's the right word, but where I'm I sort of use them more in my kind of social media and marketing and kind of talking about my message. I think video really helps because what I do isn't necessarily easy to sum up succinctly, and so it helps to be able to explain with graphics and kind of being able to talk it through. Like, I think probably I've probably given you a better idea of what I do, that in talking to you today, sort of than maybe you've had in the past, just by kind of being able to talk through those examples. So video really helps with that, because you can, like, I can talk now, we can do this kind of thing where you're having that kind of chat, you can share a screen and explain a concept through that kind of thing. So that's really useful. So when I was redeveloping my website at the beginning of the year, I did put some videos together for that, and that was after I'd come on the course with you guys, where I knew that I wanted to be developing video more for exactly the reasons that I've said, and so came on the course, put together the videos for the website so that I could kind of support it in a different medium, and support kind of what I was saying in text, but through videos as well, and I think that worked really well to be able to kind of sum it up more easily. And then in my social media too, I have to say that my social media videos have dropped off recently, but I definitely earlier in the year got into doing more of the videos for my YouTube, I think, to be able to explain concepts that maybe are related to what I do, but are maybe need a bit more explanation.
Yeah, it's show and tell. It's the easiest medium, because it's show and tell, and you can really get your message across. So yeah. So you've got courses as well, haven't you? You put together. Are you using video in those to kind of help?
So that's the same thing as my that's my guilt-free membership. Yeah. So it's all part and parcel of that. So that's works so that it's it's kind of 6 months worth of workshops. So there's twice monthly workshops for 6 months, but then members get lifetime access to that, so that because they're the same workshops that repeat, but because we are ever changing and evolving, actually something that they did say a year ago might actually be useful to them further down the line, because something new has cropped up, or actually I've had a few people where it's been really nice for them to see the changes how they've evolved over that time, to kind of redo it, check back in with themselves. And that's what I said earlier about it being a quite an interactive session, because it's about the individual. It's not about me teaching people things they already know. It's about kind of giving them time to reflect on whether this is working for them as they want it to be. And so we kind of use coaching exercises and things in there, but the videos come as part of the live workshops. I don't tend to do any courses aside from that. It's something that I'd like to develop, having an online course as well, but that's another project to be started.
No, it's interesting you say about how people are able to see the difference between then and now. And kind of development, because I look back on stuff that we've done over the years, and I then go back to 2011 when we first started, but at the end of the day, good God, I wasn't as grey for starters, or as fat, but it's interesting, because you can reflect and you can look and see the changes and the differences that have gone through.
I think video is really great for that as well, isn't it? Because I think that really highlights it. Again, not the I didn't mean the physical changes, but it's a really great way of kind of seeing how far you've come and what's changed since then. It kind of highlights it really well.
It really does. It's fascinating. I mean, at the end of the day, how have you found then being a member of the Video Creators Club? Has that really helped you? Because because I remember you came. You are you still doing live streams yourself? Because there was a time you were doing live streams on Facebook.
Yeah, so I've done it with a couple of so I've had a couple of guest speakers on. So done, or maybe more than a couple actually now. And I've actually done, so I was doing a time I tried out doing a live meditation and a live kind of mobility stretching session, which because of a lot of the people I work with are sat at a desk for a lot of the day, so they get really tight in the sort of the front of their shoulders, the front of their hips. So I was doing some live streaming for that. And yeah, the Video Creators Club has been really helpful for that, because it's been, you know, having you guys on, well, firstly, the monthly meetings, which kind of act for me as not only support, because obviously you guys are there to support kind of throughout the month as well. So it's great to have support, and the updates that you bring. You quite often sort of tell us what's going on in terms of social media, or you know what we need to kind of keep on top of, which is really useful. But for me, it also acts as a really great accountability thing as well, because it kind of, you know, it helps me to sort of set that goal in terms of video and what I want to do for the month coming. But it's been kind of the support around that as well that's really helpful. Because in one of those, you'll remember, Gareth, for one of those live streams, I had a technical issue with only like a couple of hours before I was due to go live, and had a guest speaker coming on.
Yeah.
So and I needed to stream live from Zoom, where I'd be doing an interview like this.
Right.
Put it through into my Facebook group, and I thought I knew what I was doing, and then came to just retry it again, you know, a couple of hours beforehand to make sure I was good to go. And it turned out I didn't know what I was doing, and so I had to call.
I remember the frantic call. I'm going live soon, and that doesn't work.
I mean, literally, that was what it was like, wasn't it? I was like, please help me.
Let's have a look. Yeah. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
I put a link to your Facebook group in there as well, so that people.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it was really helpful to have you on hand, and I'm very grateful for you for jumping in.
You're welcome. That's what the club is all about at the end of the day. So, excuse me. We will be seeing you this Wednesday for the creators meeting then.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be announcing the members, the winner of the members competition.
Wow.
I talk about updates and stuff like that. I was saying to Mick yesterday, we had next month's competition already and planned out, and it was going to be creating your LinkedIn profile video. Yeah. And then I got an email. LinkedIn are discontinuing the profile email on the 26th of June. So we were like, oh God, we need to think of we still need to think of a competition for next month, Mick.
Yeah. Still time to get your LinkedIn though, if you do it quick.
Well, there's still time to do your LinkedIn, but because they're not getting rid of the existing ones, but they are actually stopping people from making new ones.
So I don't know what that is that you're referring to. So
LinkedIn, on your profile, you can create a video. So if you go to my profile, for example, and you click on my picture, it'll play a video of me going, "Hi, I'm Gareth, and I do this, that, and the other." But they actually now they've discontinued it as of the 26th of June. So yeah, if you've not got one and you want one, they discontinued it because of a lack of uptake, I think.
All right.
So not all people know about it, but yes, you could actually create a video profile for yourself. So we got to think of a new competition, but we do have our video Q&A on the 5th of July from 4 to 5 o'clock. If anybody's got any questions about using video, don't ask us anything about making your LinkedIn profile video, because it'll be no point. But yeah, and yes, we've got the Video Creators Club. If anybody's interested, then you can basically on our website. I'll put a link for us in now, shall I? Shall I put a link?
Whilst you're putting that link in, something I didn't mention before about your Video Creators Club as well that I found really helpful is the video library to go in if I've had something that I didn't know what I was doing with, just to go in and search in there has been really handy. So yeah, that's been really great.
Yeah, I think was it you who pointed out that I haven't got one on audio.
Yes,
I need to make that free audio.
It was particularly on the YouTube and finding music that
getting music for your videos. Yeah. Free audio. People don't realize there's absolutely tons of it on YouTube. But yeah, so yeah, we've got the Video Creators Club, and of course you got access to the courses with that as well. And we also have our editing package, which you've also used in the past as well for your website videos, etc.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted, I think I've thoroughly made use of your services. Very grateful.
Why not?
Exactly.
Exactly. Therefore.
Yeah, when I was making my website ones, I was very keen that I wanted them. With my social media ones, I wasn't I didn't mind. I felt I could forgive myself a bit more if it was a bit more, if it wasn't quite so perfected. But I took up mixed perfectionism when I needed my website ones done.
I explain this in all my talks that I do. At the end of the day, there's like marketing videos, which yes, it's a strategy, it's more serious, but then there are blogs, and blogs are about visibility, credibility, and personality, and just getting out there and basically, people seeing you and learning about. I do my dad jokes at the end of my videos. I make them using OBS. I knock them together in half an hour because I've got the framework done. I've got the next couple of videos I've got to do all lined up, ready in my head, and I'm just going to go and do them. And you don't need to script or worry about in or in because you're human, and the video blogs are about people, and it's just a great way to get out there. But that's what we're all about, basically, is we like helping people understand, create, and use video in their business. And that's
something else I need to do is your OBS
get on it.
Yeah, I need to.
Look, text just appearing, magic text, end screen, woo, it's so simple.
Yeah. So and now I'm part of the extended Video Creators Club. Then it's great.
You're a plus member.
Yes, plus member. Yeah.
Plus member. So well, that's it. I think. Mick, have you got anything else?
No, the only thing I'd like to just sort of add is I did do lots of editing with Jo and went back and forth email, but I feel like I really know you, Jo, but through the editing, because people buy from people, you get used to people, so it's a good sort of strategy as well with people like that familiarity. I know we do talk when we do the meeting, but Gareth more than me because I'm sort of stuck behind doing all the editing and stuff. But it's just another
I keep him in a cupboard.
People.
I keep him in a cupboard.
Get used to like familiarity and stuff when you're on your videos. So
yeah,
for people to think about.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, there is definitely a psychology behind video as well. Yeah, for definite. So right, well, I tell you what, that's been a cracking half hour.
Yeah,
thank you very much. I've actually learned something. Mm-hmm. Mick, you have imposter syndrome in the perfection that you try to push out.
Very possibly.
Very possibly, yes. And at the end of the day, no, it's fascinating. It's an absolutely fascinating subject. And if you're out there, feel free to go along to one of Jo's sessions because you're going to learn a lot, about the whole concept of it all and about yourself potentially. So go along to one of Jo's sessions. The links are in the chat, and I might even come along myself one day. But actually, I'm always worried about going inside here. Yes, we're in that. Oh, people have tried to go in there before, and it's not turned out pretty. So, So thank you very much, Jo.
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been great chatting to you.
Nice. It's been good chatting to you too. And if anybody missed the live stream, you can catch up on this later because it will be available on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook. All right. Cheers then.
Thank you.
Bye.